If you haven't already heard, Anchor by Spotify is the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So download the app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hello, you're listening to Got Clutter, Get Organized, a podcast that focuses on helping you create space to attract more money, love, and happiness in your life. I am your host, Janet M. Taylor. I want to say hello if you're a regular listener and welcome if you're listening for the very first time. I hope you are having a great week. And of course, if you enjoy listening to this podcast, please leave a review so I can continue bringing you episodes each week. And of course, if you didn't already know, you can support this podcast by clicking the Buy Me a Coffee link in the show page. And of course, I will give you a shout out on the air. Well, in this episode, we're going to be talking about the organized college student because they're getting ready to get back on campus, but also some of them are staying home as well. And a fellow professional organizer, Tiffany Blassingame from Simple Organization, will be sharing some tips and strategies that can help them. And of course, I will be sharing my product, app, repurpose, and book suggestion for this week. And my question for you, and I want you to think way back, were you an organized college student? Were you? And of course, you're going to hear a little conversation about all the stuff I took when I went away from college, and I'm the professional organizer. So, according to statistics, there are over 207 million college students globally. This is globally now. 207 million globally, which is why I wanted to ask Tiffany Blassingame, and she is the owner of Simple Organization in Atlanta, Georgia, and specializes in student organizing. She provides opportunities for students and families to practice and build organized and productive habits so that they are more successful at home, work, and school. Tiffany is passionate about helping to create a more just and equitable environment in both the professional organizing and education industries. Tiffany is a member of NAPO as well as a founding member of the National Association of Black Professional Organizers. Tiffany's commitment to students motivated her to open a school in 2021 that supports executive function skills of young leaders. So without ado, sit back. You better get your notepad out, your tablet out, and take some notes. And also share with a friend who has a college student in their life. My conversation with Tiffany. Well, listeners, it is August. It's back to school. But of course, first, we got to get the college students back on the campus and organized, which is why I invited fellow professional organizer Tiffany Blassingame to join us to give us some strategies for the soon-to-be young adults. So, Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited about this topic.
So, before we get started on just some strategies for the college students, what made you decide to become a professional organizer?
Well, I've been organized all my life. I guess all professional organizers will say that. And I especially enjoyed like working with students because I come from a family of educators. So I'm actually trained as an educator, kindergarten through 12th grade. And so then from that came my niche of working with students and understanding what they have to do to be successful in school, as well as they move into their career. And I think there are a forgotten population when we talk about organizing, because a lot of times we as parents will do a lot for them, and then we recognize that, oh, like there's some things they need to learn on their own besides the normal life skills of, you know, balance your checkbook and, you know, put gas and get an oil in the car and get an oil change. You know, they also need to know how to manage their time, how to share their space and manage their spaces as well. So that's how I kind of got into organizing for students.
And it's a good thing you mentioned the time. So I guess in your opinion, what are some things that college students can do to better manage their time, because they're just not only managing school, their class schedule, but study schedule. Some of them are working. Some of them, of course, they're on a college campus and they want to have a little bit of fun. But how do they, like, what are some things that they can do to better manage their time?
So I usually start with college students on doing a time assessment for the week, because much of their day is already done for them, right? Like their class schedule is already done. So that tells them where they have blocks of available time. So we first start with what's already there. Then we start with some non-negotiables like getting sleep. You know, college students think that, you know, they don't have to get sleep. I can do this. I can stay up. I can drink coffee, whatever. But helping them to understand how important sleep is for their brain and for actual recharging, and how that makes a difference in their grades and in their study skills. So plugging in some non-negotiable hours for sleep. Usually we can get them to do at least 6 hours on the time assessment. And then third thing is plugging in things that they don't want to lose, the things that they're passionate about. They might be someone who works out. They might be a swimmer. They may be a runner. They could be, a student athlete or in the arts program where they need to be able to make sure that they have time to practice or whatever it is that they have to do, and putting those things in there. And then they actually have time for managing the other stuff. And once you show them that, like really and truly, like we all get 24 hours a day. And like you just can't, yes, you're dropping the ball because you're trying to put in more than what you actually have. So you can't spend, 2 hours a day on YouTube or playing the game with your buddies, because you only get 24 hours, and this is already set for you of what needs to happen for you to be successful in school.
I love the way you said start off with an assessment of your time. That is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I mean, everybody's like, oh, I got 24 hours. That's not 24 hours. But sometimes people try to put 48 hours worth of stuff into a 24-hour day. So I love
Right,
that.
right.
So now this next question, Tiffany. Okay, so can you share a few essentials that they should bring to stay organized? And the reason I hesitated to ask that question because I started having a flashback to when I went to college, and yes, I am an organizer. But I'll never forget. My neighbor looked at my mother and said, "Is she coming back?" Because she looked like she took everything. And I'll admit, I took my prom dress because I thought, well, maybe I'll get invited to a formal while I'm on campus. But I realized I had the station wagon, and that's when the station wagons were very long. I had it packed. So, what are some things that, kids should just bring with them, and maybe some stuff that they really should just leave at home?
Yes, well, you gave a great visual of what those cars look like pulling up at the college campus. Um, yeah, so the basics, of course, um, the bedding, all the basic stuff. So, but understanding that wherever you go, you can pick up things there, first of all. So, cleaning supplies, like you could probably get that when you get there. Um, the laundry detergent, even school supplies. Like after you get things set up, then you could take your student to pick up these other extras. That's number one, because we put a lot of extras in the car when we could actually go and get those things. The second is thinking about vertical storage. So, is there a bathroom door where you could put something on both sides of the bathroom door, like a shoe hanging rack or a bag, or even like the pantry organizers with the baskets on them where you could hang it over the door if that helps. Things storage for the shower, for the closet doors, and then setting up desk organization. I think that's very important, and thinking about how the student works at home currently, and what are those things that you need to bring to set up that same type of comfortable space, because a lot of times they aren't really studying in the room, or they can't really get their groove because it's not what they're familiar with. And so if you think about like what are those things that they always use that you can take from home that you already have and set that up right there at their desk at school, or even if they are study on the bed, if they're a bed studier, that they have the little lap desk or whatever it is that they need, their favorite pillow that they put on, near them to lean on while they're working. Those type of things are what really matters. All of the extras and things like that. First of all, college students are very resourceful. They know how to get more toilet tissue. If you give them the money, they're going to get a ride to Walmart. they're gonna figure that part out. And so that really helps. And like working, if your child has a roommate, working with that family to figure out what items you can, go in together on, what things, like, do they want to bring the cleaning supplies and you're going to bring the storage supplies, like whatever, however it works. But that is a really big thing too, so that, you don't show up with a whole bunch of stuff and then got to figure out, well, who gets to use what. She's already put her things up. So, maybe we'll take this back. Now you got to take back half of the station wagon back home with you.
And you're so right. Because I remember when my goddaughter, she first went away to college. Her and her roommate kind of talked, but that was more or less about colors and things like that. But as you
Mm-hmm.
were talking, I was thinking about these trunk parties because
Mm-hmm.
I still remember her trunk party and all the stuff that people bought. Now, mind you, my girlfriend, she did have like a little registry, but I don't think people looked at the registry because when they came to the door, because she got two trunks, she literally got two trunks
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
so much other stuff. And so, do you have any tips for that whole thing? Because that can get overwhelming to the point where you may even need two station wagons to go to college.
Well, one, I think registries would be great if people use them.
Okay.
But people like to give what they like to give. And so if it's possible to do a gift card type party to a place where they would want to give what they wanted to give, right? So like if they really wanted to, give something from that they would normally get from Walmart, just give us the Walmart gift card and we will make sure that we get, certain things, or Bed Bath and Beyond. And one thing about Bed Bath and Beyond, I'm not a Bed Bath and Beyond spokesperson or anything like that, but you can order your things with like Bed Bath and Beyond gift cards, or like just buy them, and then you can pick it up at the nearest Bed Bath and Beyond. And you could do that with so many other places now as well, but they were like the first ones to kind of start that, so that then you're not bringing so much. So basically ship to the local store.
That is a good idea. I mean, because then, like you said, you're not taking as much,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's a lot more convenient because that whole move-in day can be exhausting, very, very
Oh,
exhausting.
yes, you got to get dollies and
Yeah, and then if your child is living off campus in an apartment on the third floor and there's no elevator, you got
mm.
to take that into consideration, parents.
That's
See,
true.
you got to take that into consideration.
And now they only allow certain number of people to move in because of COVID, right? To help with move in. So that's another thing to, you want to lessen the burden, especially heavy lifting burden that you'll have.
And that is so true. That is so true. All right. So, Tiffany, with
Oh,
all that you
Janet, I
do,
just wanted to add
mhm,
about students who stay home, because we often forget about there may be
okay,
community colleges, or it just may
okay,
be easier for
hmm,
them to stay home. But doing the same thing of setting up their space. I even think about it as like, let's set up your room as a dorm room, right? Like, let's make this a college experience instead of, high school. So what are some things that we could put in your room that you could have everything right there? Younger siblings won't be bothering you. Is there something that you could put on the door if you're in a live class? And then what will they need just commuting back and forth? I love to see them get gas cards. That's one less thing for them to worry about. They still also need the school supplies. They have books to buy, all of those things. And I think we often forget about that. And now they're becoming a growing population with COVID and with, just so much going on. Kids are staying home, or they're doing more online classes than they did before.
and that's good. Thank you for bringing up that point. You are right because a lot of kids are staying home, or they're just deciding, I'm just going to stay home and work, but I still want to go to school. So,
Mm-hmm,
thank
mm-hmm.
you so much for sharing it. And I do like your strategies on just making that room feel like a dorm room and not just, something that they just transitioned into after high
Right.
school, but making it really feel like that dorm room.
Yeah.
So, Tiffany, with all you do, with students, your family, the community, your business clients, how do you stay organized? Like, what are a couple of things you do just to really stay organized?
Well, I am a planner girl. I love a good planner. Well, I love many good planners, and that's part of my problem. But I do believe in the Sunday planning where I sit down, I look at, emails that I might have missed. I look at my digital calendar, I look at my phone calendar, all of that stuff. I have a 17-year-old, so I'm also like looking at his schedule and making sure that he's is where he needs to be. And if there's something that I need to support with him getting there, that, I'm leaving time in my schedule for that. But a planner is one of my main ways of staying organized. And then what I tell most of my students and families is to create a routine, and knowing that your morning routine begins at night. So for my son, particularly, he has his own business as a sports videographer. And so he knows when he has to, be at a certain practice or working with a certain team. So everything gets put by the door. His camera is charged by the door, his computer, all of those things are right there. And right next to that would be like my work bag with who I'm going to see the next day. I go ahead and get my client files out, put it in, the bag, so that in the morning we're able to have breakfast together. I'm able to have a cup of coffee. I can, have a devotional time before we just rush out the door. So those are my two main things: creating a routine and using a planner.
I like what you said about the planner because I've heard so many stories of parents when they share how all of a sudden the child, mentions, "Oh, tonight I need you to pick me up at," and it wasn't part of the plan. And then everybody's trying to scramble and figure out, well, who's going to pick them up? And I can't do it. Can you do it? And all this different adjustments. So I'm glad that you have established that into your routine, and hopefully one of the listeners will do that as well as we get into the new school year for our college students, but also our other students as well.
Yes.
So, how can listeners, because this has been a wonderful conversation, and of course, I just spilled all my guts about my first trip to college, but how can listeners get in touch with you?
Yes, so they can connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at TW Blass, Blass. Follow me there. You can find a link to different podcasts and episodes about student organizing. You can find a link to my Teachers Pay Teachers store, where I have a few organizing I have a small little ebook on college organizing and getting ready for college, but also some schedules and things that you could use at home to assess your time with your students. And you can download that straight from Teachers Pay Teachers. And yeah, I'm mainly on Facebook and Instagram at TW Blast of Simple Organization. Excited, message me with an issue or a challenge. I'm happy to send you some recommendations for that, especially for planning. I'll tell you that.
Tiffany, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. So thank you, and I appreciate you.
Thanks, Janet. This was so fun.
So what takeaways did you have from my conversation with Tiffany? I would love for you to share it either below the link, or you can always, go directly to the show page and leave me a voice message. So in this Taylor's Tip time, it's going to be a little different than the other ones because it's going to be 2 parts. And the first part is getting ready for the road trip to college. But the second part is going to be just getting ready for college for those of you who have students who are going to be staying at home. So for those who are getting ready for the road trip, and as you heard, I had the station wagon packed. Create a schedule and a list of what is needed. Number 1. Number 2, pack everything the night before. So all you got to do is just kind of load the car. Number 3, get a good night's sleep because you're going to be using a lot of muscles. But a lot of you are pros, so you already know this. Number 4, get up early, pack the car, eat a good breakfast, do a final check to make sure you have everything. And number 5, enjoy the ride. Again, create a schedule and a list of what's needed. Pack everything the night before in regards to boxes, suitcases, etc. Get a good night's sleep. Then get up early and pack the car. Now, some of you may want to pack the car the night before, and that's your choice. Eat a good breakfast. Do a final check. Make sure they have everything and enjoy the ride. Now, the second part of Taylor's Tip Time is for those who college students going to remain home, but maybe this is the first they're freshmen. So, some suggestions, and even if they're not freshmen, decide what you want their room to look like. Because they are freshmen, so they are going into a new phase of life, and just kind of decide what needs to stay, what needs to go, and start listing all the supplies. Maybe you decide that they just need some new paint and new bedding, and that's it. Or maybe they'll really do need a better desk. So list those supplies. It's definitely a chair. Look into chairs too. Number 3 is you want to schedule a redecorate day. Make sure you have that. That's almost like a move-in day, but that's a redecorate day. Number 4 is just do it. That means that's the day when you actually paint and change bed linens and maybe rearrange some things. And number 5, enjoy the new space. So I gave you 2 versions. Those taking a road trip, maybe those that are staying home. So I hope you enjoy those tips from Taylor's Tip Time. So, are you ready to get your life organized? Well, I offer virtual sessions that can help you do that because a lot of you may be a little overwhelmed with the paperwork. And of course, I have products and resources available to not only help you organize those important documents, but protect them as well. But also maybe you just need some strategies on just how to, 1, tackle the mail, 2, open it up, 3, organize it, get rid of what you don't, and make sure you keep what's important, like your estate documents, medical information, property information. Because once you do that, your stress levels will decrease because you will have a better handle on how to manage things in your life. So go to my contact page, schedule a free 15-minute session. So let's take the steps necessary and start by doing something today. Click the link in the show page. And of course, I want to thank you for following me on social media, for your likes, your retweets, for your sharing. And please continue to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. And I have a board for college life. And please like and share. And don't forget to check out my YouTube channel. And of course, make sure you subscribe as well. And of course, ladies, if you're thinking of getting organized, don't get overwhelmed. Join my Facebook group, Living Life Totally Organized. It's like been on a little hiatus this summer. People have been just enjoying the summer, but I'm going to kick it up ready for the fall because it's time for us to cross some things off of our list so we can get ready for the fall. So it's completely free to join. And of course, making sure that I support you on your journey to living a life that is totally organized, which is why I created this community. What is today? Are you have your little dance going on? What is it? Today is Toss It Tuesday. So I want you to go in and go get rid of some of those kids' clothes that they no longer are wearable and recycle them responsibly. Because as you were packing a kid to go to college or even just stay in the home, tackle that closet and get rid of what you don't need. My app suggestion is Cash App. The kids are going, just in case you want to send them a little something. And most of you may already have that, but for those of you who don't, it is wonderful. I love being able to cash app my godchildren, birthdays, etc., when you just feel like it. My product suggestion are plastic storage containers and bins, specifically clear, because depending on if they are going away and they have those high beds, they can stack stuff underneath the bed, but it'll be secure. And even if they're home and they want to just kind of put seasonal things in it, it is clear, and label it as well. Of course, my repurpose suggestion is repurposing utensil organizers and using them as drawer organizers, or for those of you who are iPhone users. Those boxes are sturdy and you can use those as drawer organizers as well, specifically for the kids. My book suggestion for this week is 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. Again, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. And of course, you can get a free copy and a free 30-day trial from Audible. Again, you can get a free copy and a free 30-day trial from Audible. Just click the link in the show page. And my quote for this week is, never lose sight of your dreams. Never lose sight of your dreams. I was just thinking about how years ago I spoke in front of a group of 200 women and how I did horrible. I can admit I did a terrible job, but that did not stop me from moving forward. I mean, now, I can do 200. I feel comfortable. I'm not standing behind a podium because I'm passionate about what I do. And I love sharing and I love seeing people's faces. That's something I kind of miss. But, until it's time for me to go out there again and the opportunity presents itself. But never lose sight of your dreams. Who would have thought that when I started in 1994, almost going on 30 years, I'd still be here. Thank you for listening, and be sure to share this podcast with your family, friends, and on social media. Again, let me know you enjoy listening to this podcast by leaving a review and supporting the podcast by buying a cup of coffee. Visit my website at www.janetmtaylor.com. And until next time, I want you to have a clutter-free day, but most of all, have an organized week. Organization is a quintessential element of a clutter-free life. Join me as we take this journey together. Along the way, we will find the necessary answers to your organizing dilemmas. My name is Janet M. Taylor, and you are listening to Got Clutter, Get Organized.